Hi, my media literate hotties. Another episode of Chronicled. I am so excited for this one. Welcome to my space, my podcast digital series where we talk all things print, media literacy, have some really fun people to talk to who are shaping media. And today we have the one and only Miles Johnson.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on here. I feel like your bio, you got a lot going on. You have a lot going on. You are a producer, you're a writer, you're a host. So I kind of want to let you decide, how do you define yourself in the journalism and media space?
I would say I'm as creative all around.
Okay.
And I feel like in journalism it's always
Mhm.
like a label attached
Mhm.
to certain things, but when you're able to do multiple things in journalism, it really ups your value and the
Yeah.
leverage you can provide to different companies, to yourself, really.
Mhm.
So just a creative all around. But
Okay.
thank you so much for the intro too.
When I was on your LinkedIn, there was something that I like that you said. I think you said you were a multimedia. Was it a multimedia journalist? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that one. Your platform is like kind of the reason. People like you are the reason I created this space, because I feel like you walk the line of content creator, journalist, and all of these things that we just talked about. So I want you to take me back to little Miles and when you decided media journalism, this is for me.
Really, it was high school.
Hmm.
I was super involved in sports. So I grew up
Hmm.
playing soccer
Okay.
in Philly,
What position did you play?
left wing.
Okay.
So I'd be the one that like super
Yeah.
fast, going up and down the field. I like to cut right and then
Okay.
shoot for the goal. And so soccer was like the first sport that I grew up to love.
Yeah.
And I was born in Cleveland.
Hmm.
And when LeBron went back to Cleveland in
Hmm.
2015, I was like, okay, I'm all in on the Cavs.
Hmm.
Big LeBron fan. In 2016, one of my core memories with my dad, actually, we're watching the Cavs versus Warriors game 7.
Hmm. Oh wait, this is a
Yeah.
great core
Yeah.
memory.
And we ended up, and the Cavs obviously won.
Yeah.
My dad gets out the phone. He's like, "Where you from, Miles? Where you from?" I'm born in Cleveland. I was like, "I'm from Akron." And I was like, he was like, "Wait, you from Cleveland?" I was so hyped. I was so hyped. I'm thinking I'm from Akron, just like
Yeah.
Brian. But like that type of passion kind of
Mm.
fueled my love for sports journalism,
Mhm.
sports in general. And I thought to myself, all right, well, if I don't become a soccer player,
Mhm.
I could become, somebody talking about sports. So I looked at the Stephen A's and
Mhm.
the Michael Wilbons and Chris Broussards
Mhm.
and the other black men in the space
Mhm.
that are on TV, saying their own takes on what's happening in
Yeah.
sports, and thought, why can't that be me? So
Mhm.
that's how it started from the beginning, though.
Yeah. I feel like I'm happy you brought up their names, because as I was thinking about our conversation, I do feel like a lot of sports journalists were some of the first journalists that we see where like their personality also becomes a part of their celebrity, right? Like they're not just a
Mhm.
journalist, the way that they talk about sports, the way that they are even off camera. I think when, as like a sociologist, we might look back at journalists, people will be able to study sports journalists, but like these are the people who started, I guess, almost content creation at the same time as being a journalist, you know?
Exactly, because Stephen A is a prime example. So he was with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hmm.
I know firsthand being in Philly, and he covered Allen Iverson
Yep.
and the Sixers during their heights, and he always had a column each week on his take on what was going on.
Yeah,
It's not much different than what he does now.
exactly.
All the difference is that the medium in terms of writing, now it's, on TV, now
Hmm.
it's on social media, but
Yeah.
that same person who is writing out his take or writing out his opinion on what the team is doing, what Allen Iverson is doing,
Hmm.
etc., is the same guy that gets behind the camera in front of a
Hmm.
mic and spews his take as well. So it's just the
Mm.
medium that's changing.
And then, okay, you're speaking about Philly. I've got to ask you, what is like, why do Philadelphia, do you guys, is it Philadelphians?
Yeah,
What are you guys? Okay.
Philadelphians, yeah.
What is the love? Like, where does this love of you all's teams come from? Because I have not experienced it
Yeah.
anywhere that when I've gone to Philly, I've met somebody from Philly. Where does that come from?
Really, we just so passionate, like, in
Yeah.
anything we do. Sixers, Eagles, and a lot of athletes, they don't really understand how passionate we are until they actually live it, either on the good
Mm.
side or, like, the bad side, but, like, the city just rallies around sports. So, like, that's what brings us together. white, black, like whatever, like
Mhm.
that's the one thing that we can go, have the parade in Center City on Broad Street. I mean, heck, even when we won the NFC championship on the
Mhm.
way to the Super Bowl, we had a parade there. So it was like it's just engraved in the city, but we rally around athletes who have demonstrated qualities of
Yep.
hard work,
Mhm.
resilience, being underrated, underdogs. That's why we love Jalen Hurts because he was a
Mhm.
second round pick and they doubted him, and now he's a Super Bowl champion, and et cetera. So many other guys, Allen Iverson, like his height. Is he
Mhm.
going to be able to, propel the Sixers to different heights if he's only 6'1"? So that type of heart and determination is what
Mhm.
resonates with Philly fans, and
Yeah.
sports are so much of like a core of who we are.
That makes sense. I feel like and so the episode before you was Sports Illustrated, and I was talking about how I've always loved sports from a culture perspective. I actually feel like the game being played to me might be the least interesting thing. Like
Mhm.
just as a concept, sports are fascinating, and I started to understand like why people love Philly sports, the way y'all treated Michael Vick after. I mean, listen, I get it. That wasn't
Mhm.
cool what he did with the dogs, but he is one of my favorite athletes. And I feel like the way he came to you all city and the way you all took care of him made me like Philly sports more.
I
I was
like
like,
that.
I see why you guys like the underdog and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
I was watching you in your um YouTube, the episode you just put out. Congratulations on 5 years
Thank you.
with Real
Thank
Talk
you.
with MJ. We're gonna
Thank
get
you.
into that. But you said Morehouse was one of the best decisions you ever made. Why? And how did you make that decision to go to Morehouse?
When I'm asked that, the first thing I go back to is my sophomore year of high school
Mhm.
when I got a visit to Morehouse with my dad and his
Mhm.
class of '96, my uncle's class of 2005,
Oh, okay, I didn't know you
and
were okay, y'all are
it's
deep in
ingrained,
Morehouse.
it's
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
like in the blood. So it's
Mhm.
like my dad raised me over to Morehouse, and at that time I was, in my early stages of having that love for sports journalism,
Yeah.
and ended up speaking to the director of the journalism program,
Mhm.
Professor Ron Thomas.
Mhm.
And again, I'm only a sophomore in high school, so I'm asking him, hey, like, I want to be the next Stephen A. Smith, want to have my, own show, all this stuff. And his first question to me was, do you write? Do you write? At that time, no, right? And I'm on YouTube looking up, the next sports take. I'm not worried about writing. He was like, well, I know your high school has a newspaper. You should be able to, contribute to them. And so, like, that kind of started, my love for sports journalism
Mhm.
further than just, oh, I like what Stephen A does.
Yeah.
And he has a take that was funny on ESPN, but like, actually, what got him to that point was
Mhm.
his writing. And so, before I was a student, Morehouse mentored me. Like Morehouse poured into me before I was a student. And so then I'm a senior. I was I was like, do I do Howard or Morehouse? Ended up
Mm.
picking
So it was
Morehouse.
HBCU for
Oh, it was
you
HBCU all
regardless.
the way.
Okay.
I went to a PWI, and like, there's things I take from my PWI
Mhm.
in high school, and I was like, it keeps with me today.
Mhm.
But ultimately, I knew after that experience, oh, I definitely have to go to HBCU. Like it was no other way.
Mhm.
And just being at Morehouse, best decision I ever made,
Mhm.
because I get motivated from seeing my friends who are doctors now, who are in tech, who
Yeah.
are lawyers, who are in journalism as well. Like we
Mhm.
do their thing. I wouldn't be able to have that, anywhere else than
Mhm.
Morehouse, in my opinion. So, but that first instance where I was mentored and really like understood before I became a student
Mhm.
is really what the Morehouse experience is all about.
I actually had a like a flipped experience in my sophomore year. The school I went to, we could do this thing called Janter, and it was 3 weeks in January, you take one class, and I took a journalism class because I always wanted to be on TV. Like
Hmm.
I was like, somehow, some way. I think at the time I wanted to be like a plastic surgeon, like be on Botched, like be
Yeah.
the person on Botched. And I just wanted to be on TV. I didn't really care. I was like, I want my makeup done every
Yeah.
day and I want to get in front of a camera. And when we would go, and I was a writer too. So I was like, I loved writing. And I remember every journalist we talked to, they were like, you have to learn how to write in this way. And that's Simone. I was like, I absolutely don't want to do journalism. I don't like the fact that as I'm sitting here. I
Mhm.
don't like the fact that you're telling me how to write. And so it actually made me fall out of love with journalism was because of the way you have to write in journalism. But then life changed and I fell back in love with it for other
Yeah,
reasons.
just to add on to that, so, like, I resonate with I don't like writing the basic news stories or
Yeah.
basic post-game articles of, "Alright, the Sixers and Knicks,
Who, what, where, when, why.
who, what, when, what."
Yeah.
I don't like that because it's so repetitive
Mhm.
and you can't really put your own style. Anybody can write that, honestly. Like if you just know AP style writing, like you'll pretty much be good on that. Uh it definitely learning that taught me the basics, but now when I write, I'm looking for features. I'm looking for
Mhm.
like, all right, what's deeper than just all right, he scored 24 points, he had 10 rebounds, he had 8 assists. All right, but how did he even get here? He's an immigrant from Africa and his parents had him, walk an hour to the basketball court each and every day just to
Yeah.
practice. And it's like you don't really get to understand those type of stories just through the game story. So them features, that's where like I really resonate. Like that's where I love journalism.
I actually think this is a good transition to talk about your podcast, Real Talk with MJ. And I kind of want to let you tell your story of why you started it, how it came to be.
Yeah, so I'll go to like to the start of 2020 and spring break
Mhm.
essentially had a phenomenal freshman year, first semester in the
Love it.
fall, going into the spring
Mhm.
semester. It was going great. Going to
Mhm.
spring break, I remember it was the Wednesday
Where'd you
of
go?
I went to Miami for
That's like
spring
a
break.
rite of passage,
It's
spring
just
break and
like
freshman
freshman
year.
year, you
Yeah,
gotta go to Miami.
the trip changes you.
Yeah, oh,
It changes
you
you.
either gain some friends or you either lose some. I don't know what you can do. Yeah, it's gonna build some character.
It sure does. It sure
It's gonna
does.
build some
That
character.
sucks that it happened during your trip.
Yes, yes. So it was Wednesday. I'm in Miami with my friend who he's from Philly. Goes to Miami. Well, he went to Miami at the
Yeah.
time, and
Oh,
in his
fun.
dorm. Yeah, so like we was lit. I had to pay
Yeah.
for no hotel, B&B, nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Get the email
Mhm.
when y'all get back. It's time to go. It's time to go. And so my heart dropped. It's like, my freshman year is getting cut short. Like you only get 4 years. The 4 years
Yeah.
goes by just like that, going back to Philly. And so, I love my parents, come from two-parent
Mhm.
household. They're both successful, have some great sisters, but it was like nobody wants to be back home. Like,
I mean, let's be real, going fresh 18, 19 in the middle of Miami doing whatever you wanna do to
yeah,
going back home with your parents,
yeah.
e it's not fun.
It's not fun, so you gotta play by their rules, which
And I was just making my own
I was
rules.
in their own rules. I remember I got a tattoo when I was 18 years old,
Mhm.
and it was like a statement to be like, I'm grown. Little did I know I was nowhere near. I'm 24 now. I just feel like, all right, there's some stuff I still gotta know.
Yeah.
And later that month, this is now March 2020, my great grandmother passed away. So now
Mm.
it's like a bunch of things
Rest in
where it's
peace.
like, yeah, where it's like I'm getting sent back home from school.
Mhm.
It's like the first major like death. Like this is somebody who I felt like, oh, they gonna live forever. I never seen like my dad really like get that emotional like ever in my life up until that point
That's
when
also
he found
very
out that.
different seeing it, like, versus being in college where you're just talking to them over the phone and actually
Mm-hmm.
having to be physically with that person while they're
a
grieving.
hundred
That's a
percent.
lot.
Yeah, like that's a great point you said because if I was at school, obviously like you going to the funeral and all that, but in terms of like seeing like those initial reactions to it, like nothing can really like
Mm.
describe that unless you like see it in person. So I'm basically I'm using like day to day. I'm on Fortnite like 20 hours a day, like because
Mm.
I'm really like depressed, honestly. Like staying in my room and I wasn't productive at all.
Mhm.
So it gets to like May, June. I'm looking at different podcasts out there on YouTube, different sports podcasts. I'm thinking to myself, why don't I start my own
Mhm.
podcast? I'm not gonna just wait for different internships or something else to open up. Like, let me just
Mhm.
create that own avenue for myself right now. So it's July 2020 was when I started Real Talk with MJ. And the primary goal was let me talk about sports.
Mhm.
I can have different guests, my friends on there. I can, share my own take on what's happening
Mhm.
in sports.
Yeah.
And it's grown to be more Philly centric, where I talk about the Eagles and Sixers and me as a guy who grew up in Philly. And it's also a place that whatever's happening in sports, if it's something a lot of times sports intertwines with politics, we'll be the first one to go ahead and point that out, because it's so important to create your own thing, but also keep truth to power. Like you have to speak. We have to speak truth to power
Mhm.
rather, and that's so important. But yeah, July 2020 was when it started.
I think one, such a smart move to move more to a focus of Philly sports. Do you feel like, or I guess, I mean, as a content creator, I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and I noticed my content did so much better. Like the more into a niche that I got, like the more it became, that is the person that I go to for print media. Like that's the person I go to for media literacy. When did you make that shift to focus on Philly content and why did you make it?
Yeah, I would say when the Eagles went on their Super Bowl run
Mhm.
in 2022, I would follow them. I was a huge Jalen Hurts guy when he first stepped into the league, so it was like I was following with him. The better he did, honestly, like the better the channel did, because it was like, all right, Miles was like one of the first people saying, believe in Jalen Hurts, don't doubt him, and all this stuff. So I would say like 2022 when I
Mhm.
started to follow the Eagles. When I was in my senior year at Morehouse was when I started to get it. I'm like, okay, I can talk about LeBron, I can talk about Curry and Kyrie, or Tom Brady, whoever. But when I talk about the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, it hits a little bit different. And
And you're
so,
passionate, you're naturally passionate about it and
yeah,
have a connection, so I think it's gonna show through your content that you're even more excited.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mhm,
Even like on the Sixers side, there was times in 2021 where we would lose, and I would go on rants about Ben Simmons. We
mhm.
actually faced the Atlanta Hawks, and I was there for game 7, and I had like a big rant on it, and I could see like friends being like, ha ha ha, y'all lose. I'm like, y'all really get on me when we lose. I get more messages when we lose, when the Eagles lose, Sixers lose, and on my birthday, I'm like, yo, crazy, bro. Like, yo, crazy. But
I know, I fear I was watching your content, you really don't like Ben Simmons.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, like Joel Embiid, I can see, like, all right, like he's trying, he be injured, but like Ben Simmons, you just quit on it. Like
Yeah,
I
you
can
seem
make a whole, I can
disgusted by
make a
him.
whole episode on that. I can make a whole episode on Ben Simmons. I don't even want to do that right now, but yeah,
Yeah, you have,
literally.
like, a visceral reaction to him.
Oh yeah,
You really do. All right, let's go back. So boom, you're making this podcast. You go back to Morehouse. What are you doing on campus, and how are you balancing the podcast with it?
yeah. So like during COVID,
Mhm,
I'm on YouTube learning every trick, every skill, every shortcut on Premiere Pro or
mhm,
any post production, skill I could do. So I'm on Canva, I'm on Photoshop, and I realized, okay, I have this vision of
mhm,
starting my own podcast, but who's gonna put together all this content? Like, I gotta be the editor, I gotta, be the graphic designer.
yeah,
I have to be the creative producer, executive producer, figure out, all right, which content goes where, what do I post, when do I post? And
mhm,
so all of that time learning, tweaking different stuff allowed me that when I got back to campus, I was a sports editor for like the school newspaper and also like the sports producer for like
mhm,
the television side of the newspaper. And so it allowed me to not only cover Morehouse sports, but then leverage my own platform through Morehouse School newspaper. And so I tried to like bring over what I learned through the podcast to Morehouse School newspaper,
mhm,
which helped me become like the managing editor my senior year, which I was in a role that I could oversee not just sports, but news, features, arts, and entertainment, special projects, which is great as well.
mhm,
So I would definitely highlight knowing different trends, different skills through YouTube, and being
mhm.
like a YouTube university student in a way. Like
Yeah.
that helped me just navigate my Morehouse experience. But I
Mhm,
I also came back to Morehouse so determined to be like, all right, I'm back here. The last time I was here was my freshman year. I'm gonna make most of every opportunity I have.
You were a sophomore or junior when you came back?
So I became back. I was a junior. I was a
Oh,
junior, and it went from first semester junior. Last time I was there, I was a second semester freshman.
that's like the most the
Yeah,
yeah, that's like the most time I feel like you grow on campus
yeah,
is your sophomore year.
exactly. So
Oof.
full transparency, like, I'm learning the different jobs I have on campus on the fly because I've never covered a game by myself.
Yeah.
Literally, the school newspaper, I didn't have a position. I was just getting involved in the school newspaper like 2 weeks before spring break.
And the people who were doing it before COVID are gone too,
They're
like, all
gone.
of those older students are
They're
graduated.
gone. A lot of people that are in positions are either in my class who like they got ahead of it before me,
Uh-huh.
or like, people that were like right above me, like a year above me.
Oh,
So
you weren't involved in any of the journalism stuff at Morehouse before?
not really.
Oh,
So like my
interesting.
first meeting with the school newspaper, like a week or like 2 weeks before spring break, and my
Mm.
deadline for my first article was 2 weeks after spring break. Now, once COVID hit, ain't nobody worried about no
Yeah, no
article.
one's
Like
worried
nobody worried
about a
about that.
deadline.
So I was super determined to see like, okay, I have other people in my class who they got started with the paper before me, either on the multimedia side or just print. I need to work so hard that just because I came after them, I gotta surpass them. And
Mhm,
so that was kind of like the fuel in my fire to be like, all right, yeah, they had a head start, but if I really, really work and
mhm.
keep pitching, don't get discouraged when stuff doesn't, go through, it doesn't get published, keep pitching, keep grinding, that by the time I get back to campus, I'll have a position and I can get the ball rolling in that aspect.
That makes sense, that makes sense, and I'm from Atlanta, I love Atlanta, my family's been there for generations. How do you think Atlanta played a role in, like, the journalist,
Oh,
multimedia person you are today?
for sure. Like, it's so many opportunities. Like, being an HBCU student, going to Morehouse College in Atlanta, all the opportunities are there. You got TNT,
Mhm,
who has given me so many opportunities. I'm forever indebted to them.
mm.
It kind of sucks that they no longer have like the NBA on TNT anymore with the way it used to
How do you
be.
feel about that?
It sucks because I had an internship during the summertime with TNT. They gave me my first nationally televised on-air opportunity
Mm,
to, cover MLK game on 2023. It was the Hawks versus the Heat. I got
mhm.
to like shadow Chris Haynes, a sports reporter for Bleacher Report at the time, and ended up meeting Reggie Miller and Kevin Harlan and the whole TNT crew. Met Shaq. I was a member of Omega Psi Phi at the time, so
Mhm,
ended up dapping him up. I'm the bros too. So like, but they gave me like just so much mentorship
mhm.
and so much love, um, just because I'm a student. And I'm a firm believer that like as long as you're a student or like one of the youngest people in the room, people are gonna want to help you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Th
that's just the fact. So like always show up. And like TNT was one of those places that they always saw value in me.
Mhm.
And it sucks that the industry is going a different direction. But the people there, through NBA.com, through NBA on TNT, etc. Like there's some really really hardworking people that
Mhm.
unfortunately have to pivot and go a different direction. But I guess that's just how the business is.
Yeah, I feel like also that show ending, like there's a new era of sports journalism. Like that's the end. I mean, that's the end of
Hmm.
that era. It's done. What do you think is the next era of sports journalism?
Really, I think to have longevity in the space, you have to be involved with social media.
Mhm.
Like you can't be like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be on Instagram. I'm gonna deactivate my page. I know people be doing that. But I'm like,
Yeah, you
look,
gotta have a presence.
if you're in journalism, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, etc., maybe in finance, you're not be on Instagram, do your hiatus. That's cool, but like in journalism, you have to be huge on social media, and I think you've done a great job of being like, all right, a lot of these people don't want to read. Let me find new ways through social media to get people to read
Yeah.
because I'm not going to be discouraged and say, all right, y'all don't want to read. Y'all want these 45-second TikTok clips instead. All right, I'm going to meet y'all where y'all at and still inform you. So I think that's, the future of sports journalism, especially if you're educated in the spaces. Yes, learn how to write, get educated, learn AP style writing, all of that, but don't neglect social media because if you have both, if you have social media and you have the knowledge of knowing how to write, it'll make you 10 times better because then you're writing scripts based off of how well you write.
Mhm.
It all intertwines itself and then the more presence you have on the camera in front of a mic, that can play into honest like your writing as well. Like all of them like connect and they're all intertwined
Yeah.
and writing it is so like important.
I think it's just a different era too, where something that people have said on this series is like strengthening different muscles in journalism. And I feel like the digital side of it is very important to know how to have a presence. But I also think that kind of leads me to something that I'm interested in hearing. Like, what do you think is the current relationship between influencers and journalists right now? How would you define it?
It's interesting because a mentor of mine who he wrote a recommendation for me
Mm.
to attend NYU,
Mm.
master's program after Morehouse.
Congratulations
Thank
too on
you.
graduating. That's
Thank you.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah, New York. Shout out NYU. Shout out NYU. He works for the Griot and White House
Mhm.
correspondent. And he told me 8 miles, like, I can write an article that's, based off being at the White House in person and getting the facts on whatever the case may be. But there can be somebody who has no education experience, no writing experience, is not in the briefing room, nothing like that. And they can have a 45-second clip and giving their opinion on that. And that can get way more views than my article. He's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it's changed. And so ultimately I wouldn't be afraid of influencers if I'm a writer. Like I would encourage like in your own way, be an influencer. Like
Mhm.
again, make sure that social media is your best friend because
Mm.
you have to be able to like reach new people. Like when TikTok created or when TikTok hit the scene, it changed the whole game.
For sure.
It changed the whole game because now you got Instagram Reels, you got Shorts. People are swiping through. We do the same thing. You wake up, you swipe through. If you don't like something in the first second,
You're
you're
done.
done.
You're done. I also feel like even what your mentor was saying is that, the way people consume information has changed so much. People's attention spans are shorter. And I think sometimes I hear the argument like people don't care about facts. I don't think that's the truth. I just don't think they like them presented the way that facts have been presented. They don't want to read about the facts. They want a personality that they like and they can see themselves in or want to be giving them the facts. I think that that's though sometimes where influencers and journalists get sticky is that a lot of influencers and creators actually don't care if the information they're presenting is truthful. They want the views. So
100%.
I think that that's kind of where it can get a little sticky.
Yeah, and add on to that, let's say you're writing for a certain newspaper. You have to think of like the different funnels it goes just for somebody who's, around the world to get to the article. They have to go on Google,
Mhm.
they have to type whatever the thing is, look at whatever articles is, then you have to type versus you can be on TikTok, refresh your page, boom, it's right
It's right
there.
there.
I've seen different like Instagram carousels where they still have people reading, but it might be like a carousel of like 10 to 15 slides. And it's like, stage one, stage two, stage three are given like a whole chronological order of what's going on, whether it's about wars, whether it's about the economy, whatever it's about. And those are great because again, it's meeting people where they're at. You're not
Mhm.
losing the journalist aspect, you're just, putting in like a new way that's
Changing the
easily
format.
accessible, changing the format where it's easily accessible to the audience.
I so agree. I so agree. I think you choosing to go on camera is a very interesting, also brave decision because you have a speech impediment. And I love that part of your story because my grandpa Um, he created a business and he had a speech impediment like his whole life. He had a stutter. And there's a story of when he ran for like class president in elementary school, and everybody was like, you about to get up here and
Mhm.
stutter your way through this? And he did, because he was like, this is not anything that's gonna stop me. When did you realize you had a speech impediment?
I really realized preschool,
Yeah.
preschool, kindergarten, and my earliest memory is just going to speech therapy,
Uh-huh.
and I like quote unquote graduated from the program.
What do they do in speech therapy?
Like they have you like recite different
Uh,
words, but the issue is like I was related to sports. I know sports the best. It's like in practice in the NFL without pads. You're not gonna be able to, grasp the full thing, the full concept without pads. But once the pads go on, it's
mhm,
full contact, then it's like it's a different ball game. So it'd be like, all right, I can say morning 20 times. Morning was like, or like the M's was like my like thing
mhm.
where I would always stutter on those. And I'd be cool if I'm one on one, but then it would get like, all right, a real time situation where it's not rehearsed, and it's not something where, all right, it's like a closed environment. It's like the real
It's like
thing.
conversational is completely
Conversational.
it's like learning a language too. Like, you can
Yeah,
learn it in a workbook, but until you actually speak and get out there, you're never gonna learn it.
exactly. And so whether it even be in like a drive through and I say I want the vanilla donut because I don't want to say chocolate because I'll stutter on
Mm.
C. And
Yeah,
so like those different experiences, shaped my childhood a little bit
yeah.
in terms of being in school, getting made fun of all the time.
That's
And
not nice.
those were like the memories that made me like a better listener too, because I would know some of the answers and I wouldn't know it all the time. But like in like English history, that was my thing. Now math and science, if I was quiet, it's because I ain't know
I
nothing.
feel that. It's because 'cause I'm not even gonna
I
try,
ain't
like
gonna try. I ain't gonna try. But like English history, I know what's going on.
and
I
that one you
just
really gotta give the full answer
yeah,
too.
you gotta get
Like,
the full
yeah.
answer. And so, English history, I would know certain answers. I just wouldn't raise my hand because I don't want to get made fun of or be the butt
Mhm,
of the joke during lunch period. And I really just say those experiences shaped me like who I am today
mhm.
because it fuels the fire of like that's where you were, that's how you thought about yourself, that's how low you thought of yourself. For the longest time, I thought to myself, how the heck can you have aspirations of being on there, of being in front of a camera, in front of a mic, and you can't even say your first name?
Damn.
Where people are like, you don't know your first name? I'll be like, Miles. And
Mm.
so many times it's like, oh, you don't know your first name? Like, yeah, no, I definitely don't know
I
my
know my
first name.
first
Yeah,
name. Give
yeah,
me a
yeah, yeah.
second.
Like,
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 yeah.
like and it's like, give me a second. And it's like that second or 2 seconds, we only think about it like when we're like, conversating, but like those seem like forever, like that it seems forever, especially when you, like, have a speech impediment, and so, ultimately, like, it started off young, and my mom noticed it got progressively worse
Mhm.
high school,
Oh,
getting made
really?
fun of every day,
Dang.
and it was after my freshman year of high school was when I went to a stuttering camp
Mhm.
at UPenn, and you know, they essentially like showed me I'm not the only one. Like it's kids from 4 or 5 years old to 17 at the time. I was 16 at the time, and again, like I got that quote, like stuttering can be an anchor that holds you back, or a springboard that propels you forward. Is through the last day of camp, a real estate executive who had a speech impediment, and it was, real, severe for lack of a better word, but he had the most profound stutter out of anybody that was speaking to us. And he would be like, they would underestimate me in different like meetings and different business calls. But I used that, type of doubt to fuel me to propel
Mhm.
me forward in stuttering. So
Yeah.
uh, going to Morehouse and thinking to myself, all right, I gotta go through the same thing over again with high school and people making fun of me and all that stuff. And I didn't get made fun of in Morehouse. Like
Yeah.
I, whether it was like my line brothers, whether it's my friends that I made like freshman year, like it was really, really rare that in front of a group. Now, sometimes it does get funny, like if you just in the drive through a cookout on, like a late night, and then you like, stumble on chicken nuggets, and like it kind of be funny. But like you can kind of like when it's lighthearted, when
Mhm.
like it's just sometimes you can laugh at yourself, and other times where it's like, all right, you're trying to make me really feel bad about who I am, and so it allowed me to know who my real friends are
I was gonna say, I think
and who my fake friends are.
you know when people are making fun of you to, like, actually hurt you versus somebody who knows your story and where
Yeah.
you come from, and almost like they're gonna give you permission to laugh before they laugh themselves.
I understood off the first rip.
Yeah.
If you make fun of me and say, "Oh, you don't know your first name," cool. I'm not gonna hate you. It's not gonna be no bad blood, but I know I'll never have you be like my best friend. Now, sometimes it might take somebody a year, 2 years, or several bad experiences to know somebody isn't, really, really like their friend, their day one.
Yeah. I think that that's a great lesson and a great way to look at it in life, and I also feel like I think this will be very inspiring for people to hear who might be extremely, like, embarrassed or think that their ambitions are limited because they have a speech impediment, when I honestly think too, social media and TikTok has made me very much more aware of people with speech impediments and also especially stuttering. There's this one creator, and she talked about, like, it's actually so rude when you finish somebody's sentence who's stuttering too, like,
Hmm.
don't do that. Give me a moment. And so I just think your story, I really wanted you to talk about that because I can only imagine the people that it's going to inspire
Yeah,
too.
I appreciate that. I hope
Yeah.
like people look at my story and say, as long as I put my head down and put the work in, like it'll all take care of itself.
Yeah.
Public speaking is a skill.
Mhm.
People that don't stutter still have trouble public speaking. And that was something I had to learn. Like in
Mm.
2020, I'm starting my podcast. I look back at it now and I'm like, I'm stumbling over different words, etc. And I'm like, all right, like look back then, now I'm gonna look back in 5 years and be like, okay, I was way better than I was in
Mhm.
2025. But it's a skill that no matter like if you have a stutter or not, like you're gonna have to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly happy this is where this is ending because typically the interviews get a little sad sometimes. So I'm like,
Hmm.
this is positive. I do want to know if you have any advice to aspiring multimedia journalists, producers, what would you tell them as your advice?
Really, I would say start your own thing. Start your own thing. And been a lot talked about with like how the industry is going. And I feel like if you are a writer, producer,
Mhm.
social media, whatever it is in journalism, you would have to start your own thing so that you have something that nobody else can take away from you. Like
Yeah.
nobody else. And that's just so important. Get your own blog, YouTube channel, podcast, do whatever, right? Put your own clips out. But the thing is, you gotta be consistent and creative.
You consistent, creative.
Cause folks be like first 1 week or 2 weeks, they was consistent. They don't get the views that they want in 2 weeks. It'd be like, all right, I gotta give up. No, it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. That's something that, one of my coworkers, I work on a kids news show, and he asked me, like, "What's your goal with this?" I was like, "To just make sure I post every time I said I was gonna post, and to make sure I'm having fun." Like,
Hmm.
that's the only goal it can be. It's not about the analytics, it's not about that, because if I focus on that, it absolutely will be a failure. Like that, because that's
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up versus just consistency being a goal, so I really like that. And with nowadays, there's so many mediums, whether it's Substack, whether it's YouTube, like, to put your own stuff out there that there's really no
It's not,
excuse.
yes, especially if you're educated. Because like, I'll be honest, it's people that didn't go to college,
Yeah.
straight out of high school, they're out here making content. So you telling me that you have more opportunities that they've had, more internships, have gotten like the actual tools of knowing how to edit, knowing how
Mhm.
to be in front of the camera, and you're not about to leverage yourself. You're
Yeah,
not gonna
lock in.
invest and lock into yourself. Like when people go to college and are paying all these loans, their parents, etc. It's an investment in yourself. So why not, like, a Philly guy says this, Deion Waiters, like, bet on yourself and double down. Like, that's what you gotta do. That's what you
Yeah.
gotta do. And that's why I feel like having that ownership mindset really does.
I agree. As a family, coming from a family entrepreneurs, absolutely need to own whatever you're doing. I 100% agree. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Is there anything though that I didn't ask you that you want to share?
Really, I think, any journalist, that's watching this, or multimedia creative, etc., just be encouraged. Don't be discouraged about what's going on. Like, you might see different people having more followers. Honestly, the first piece of content that you put out is gonna be the worst. So people are like, "Oh, I don't know when to post. I don't know when to start my thing." It's like, no matter when you do it, you can have all the Shure mics and all the cameras and the Rodecaster Pro, all that stuff. You can have all the
Yeah,
equipment, but your first episode is gonna be your worst.
that's
So
so
start it
true.
and then go crazy from there. But, like, please start, and
It's gonna suck anyway, so
it's
you
gonna
might as well,
suck at it.
yeah,
You
so might
might
as
as
well get it out
well. You
there.
might,
That's the truth. That's the truth.
yeah.
I like that. I like that advice. That's good. As someone whose first episode is coming out Tuesday, I'm actually excited for that to be my
Oh,
first
you got the
episode.
whole setup. You got everything.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be the worst, you
Yeah.
know? I like that. I like that. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you,
Miles. This was
Kelsey.
fantastic. I think you inspired the people. I enjoyed hearing about your story. And thank you for coming to Chronicled, y'all. Tune in next week. Of course, stay smart, stay literate, stay sexy, and stay chronicled. I will see you guys later. Toodaloo.